I think it's a wonderful question, and I'm not sure I totally have the answer, but you have to have some instinct to, and in my case, I think I wanted to become an artist in some way because the arts were appreciated in my family, and I had no talent in the area in which they wanted me to have talent. My brother was a cellist, by the way, and an architect, and is an architect. I was the one who couldn't learn those things. And but so when I discovered photography, this is something I really like doing, and I can do it. And like anything else, you're inspired by everything around you. My father did have some of those magazines as a kid, like Popular Photography and Modern Photography and the yearbooks. He would get those yearbooks. And I remember fanning through them. And there's one from maybe 55, 56. Speaking of your vegetables, which had an Edward Weston pepper on it. I remember, I think I still have it actually, the beautiful pepper. By the way, speaking of your project, I think it was Cole Weston ate one of the peppers, and Edward got furious about it, and for him disturbing his still life. But anyway, I think the answer to the question is you have to have the instinct. And the great thing about being a lens and screen artist, which is the term I use, still and moving, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. Lens and screen artist, still and moving. We're probably going to switch the title of our department to that also. We use it all the time. Is that you have the license to look. You can say, I'm working. Yeah, it's a great kind of work when you're photographing and you're looking and your intention is about looking, and you've actually given yourself permission to look and to examine and to let all that curiosity that may be pent up or inhibited in some way take a form. And that's a wonderful thing. And we may not make a lot of money, we may not, all kinds of other things, but we can wander around with purpose to look and, make a piece of parchment with a vegetable on it and see what it looks like as a photograph and give ourselves to it. Someone else will say, well, that's a foolish thing to do, Well, that's what artists do. Now, given all that curiosity and all that intention, it doesn't come without practice. And I quote to my students or tell the story almost every year about Pablo Casals, the cellist, great cellist, probably the greatest cellist of the 20th century, surely the greatest, who had a festival later in his life in Puerto Rico. And one of the Doyen supporters, a woman, after one of his concerts, went up to him and she says, "Oh, maestro, the cello is effortless in your hands." He got very, very angry at her. And he looked her in the eye and he says, "Madam, you don't see me practicing 9 hours every day. It is not effortless." And you have to practice, you have to train that curiosity and that instinct or innate talent if you want it to bloom, and you have to do it all the time. And one of the luxuries I feel I have is at age I'm at, I think, is I've had a lot of practice behind me and I can still practice, and things come a little bit more directly. I've freed myself to photograph anything and everything that I think might be interesting. Then you have to edit. But practice is essential to any artist. And I think a lot of young students that I've experienced through 52 years of teaching in one way or another, they sort of think, oh, it'll come to me, I'll figure it out, I'll look in the mirror and I'll go do it. It doesn't work that way. And it's another reason that sort of conceptualization, or what they call conceptual photography, preconceived photography, it actually doesn't work because it becomes illustrative if it's not worked on and practiced. And by the way, I think all good art is conceptual. I think there's always a conceptual idea behind any good piece or body of work that we call art.